are here with Kam Kaila. Did I get that right?
Kayla.
Kayla. See, look at me. I even rehearsed with you. Um, so you are the President and Chief Community Officer of IT by Design, and we're really here to talk IT leadership development and training. But before we jump into that, what is IT by Design? I've tracked you, but obviously not close enough.
Oh, so IT by Design has been around. Actually, this year we're celebrating our 20th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
And so we are basically a talent authority. We help MSPs specifically find talent, whether it's using our dedicated engineering model. We're a NOC, so we're a huge network operations center. We also help people retain talent through our employee engagement tool, which is called Team GPS. And then we help people grow talent through our Build It initiatives, including our leadership training program and our annual conference.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I've heard good things about it, so I got to. It's on the must attend list. You said September.
September 18th through the 20th.
Yep. Okay, we'll see you there in Orlando. Well, let's talk. What does leadership development involve?
Oh, leadership development is actually, I like to say that it's actually food for your soul. It's not something that you can just do once and be done. It requires consistent feeding and nutrients. And so it's actually a continual practice. And it requires effort, but it's not just a learning practice where we've taught you something. It's something where that you actually have to practice it on a regular basis in order for it to be effective for you. And so it's food for your soul, or your professional development soul is what I like to call it.
Yeah, as you're talking, and I did a tour too as a tech trainer early in my career. Um, what's your audience in terms of size? Here's my real question. With some of the smaller MSPs, as you know, there's some sole proprietors out there that
Mhm.
they kind of run around and take care of their 12 clients, their dozen clients. Um, are you working with a slightly larger MSP that's going to get it? I'm just worried that the small guy may not get it.
Yeah. So on average, our attendees, or even for our customers, we're usually working with individuals that, if you use service leadership as the index, it's OML
Sure.
2.0 or above as minimum for us. Most of our customers usually, we do have customers, again, we have a service and a solution for every size, and depending upon where you are in that dynamic. However, we really do well with the more mature MSPs. And so that's where our staffing product, which is our dedicated engineers, they work as an extension of your team. And so you have to get to a certain extent, size, and I like to say a certain leadership level
Yeah.
before you can learn to effectively lead people. And then our shared service, which is our network operations center, that doesn't require as much leadership from the MSP. And so that's a much more versatile product where you can just add people in, and we're really managing everyone. So we're not as concerned about leadership. And for us, the biggest thing is retention of team members. We're one big community of 600 plus team members today, and we value our people. And we want to make sure that we're working with organizations that understand and value leadership and community, and the value of people in delivering that service.
Yeah. Yeah. There's kind of a fork in the road. I've seen it in growing my own company, well, old and own. And the I do believe in retention, right? I back in the day, my longest term employee 17 years, and what I really like about that is it's automatic, right? That you've worked together so long that you just execute. And then I'm aware of other entities, and you name any industry, but where they have a lot of churn and burn, and there's this mentality that today's your last day. We'll just go get someone else to start on Monday. But I don't like that because you lose so much institutional knowledge. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. And I think, recently there's been this everybody's talking about quiet quitting and it's something new. Well, no, it's actually not quite new. The MSP industry has actually been known for, we usually used to say that, our L1 engineers would last 2 years and they'd rotate, and we chalked it up to the industry, and that they would burn out. Well, no, it's actually a result of poor leadership, and that's the result. It's not that they're burning out because of the work that they're doing. It's that we're not learning to effectively lead them. Are we doing resiliency training? Are we teaching them how to effectively communicate? Are we ourselves aware of it? And so it's not that our industry has or needs to have turnover. It's that our industry actually needs more leadership development. I actually had a really funny scenario, Harry.
Yeah,
It's
go
not
ahead.
funny, it's actually a little horrifying for me. I was at IT Nation this past year and I was doing a
Sure.
session
I was
on,
too in the hurricane. Go
yeah,
ahead.
in the hurricane. I was there and I did a session, and I had about 170 people in the room. And it
Wow.
was on quiet quitting, and they had to turn people back. And so in the session, I asked people to raise their hands. I said, how many of you have been with your organizations 5 years, 10 years? And the crowd's got their hand up. 15, it starts to come down, and 20, a few more come down, and 25, you've got a spatter of them. And then
Sure.
I said, okay, out of all of this group, how many of you have actual leadership development training? 3 people put up their hand.
Yeah.
In a room of 170 people that were all leaders, only 3 had formal leadership education. And so for me, it really, we've had this program called our Communities of Practice, where we've been working to build people in their professional development and their growth journeys. But there we were only tackling one individual, and it really opened my eyes that we have to tackle the entire corporation. It doesn't make sense for us to just go after one. One person is like leading a dead horse to water. We need to start a corporate training program. And so that's what we did. We actually built out an entire leadership corporate development program that's specific for the MSPs as a result of that, because I like to say that leadership requires a license. You need to get a driver's license in order to drive because you could hurt people. Well, you should have a license in order to lead because you could hurt people. If you don't give someone the right training and tools to lead effectively, they truly have people's lives in their hands. And so leadership license is definitely something that I'm passionate about, and making sure that every MSP understands that they should not be just giving their most loyal or their most the longest running tech a role as a leader. They should first invest in the training of that leader.
Yeah. Uh, I have a question, but let me frame it up. Okay, so the question is this. Then I'll wrap a little context around it. The question is, how does your team deliver training for the channel? The context is the do you I'm thinking of some of these pop leadership things I've seen over the years where you go on a retreat and you do this trust fall, right? So I'm standing on a stage and I trust my coworkers are going to catch me, and I lean backwards and I fall and they catch me in their arms. Are you doing the red hot stones and you walk barefoot, or the trust falls, or what's your methodology?
No, it is. So first of all of our leadership training programs require a 1-year commitment,
Okay.
because leadership is not overnight. It is not done over a night. It is not a 1-month course and you are done. It is not learning. So one of the things we like to say is that it's actually a competency that we are teaching you. And it has to be actionable items that you can understand. So people can say, oh, well, I want to be a servant leader. Well, what does a servant leader actually mean? And how are we teaching you those fundamental principles? And then it's spaced recollection and recall, right? And so you've got to you've got to have the homeworks, I like to call them, and the quizzes, and the testing that happens. When we were in school, the method worked. And why? Because we had to remember. And if we don't have a reason to remember and practice with our homework, we're probably going to forget it. And usually they say that you're going to lose 70% of your retention within the next day or two
Correct.
of taking a
Correct.
training. And so if you've already lost 70 to 90% once you've walked out the door, what's going to get me to help you remember all of the teachings? It's me sending you activities. It's me asking you to do a homework. It's me asking you to do a quiz. But then there's an accountability around that framework. And then it's not just a 1 month and we're gone, see you later. No, this is an annual program you have to commit to because it is that serious. And it does take time for you to really start to make it a habit where it's just instinctive for you. And so that's really important to us. And so no, we don't have hot stones, but we do have a method to our madness. Our chief learning officer, she's in the process of completing her PhD in adult learning. And so for her, it's a passion project, but for me, it's a necessity that the only way this industry will grow is if we invest in our leadership, because that is what is holding us back. We have a lack of leadership in our community, and that's what's needed in order to help all of these MSPs scale.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You said the magic words with servant leadership. I'm gonna tell on myself. I do some writing, and I helped a client, an executive out of Seattle, a CMO in tech, and he wanted to do, how people want to do the book, right? They want their own book, and
Yeah.
so I helped him. We published late last year. That's on servant leadership.
Yeah.
That's on servant leadership. I That's the first time I was exposed to it. So you said the magic words.
Yeah. Well, and there's different types of leadership, and each person is you have to understand what your style of leadership is and
Right.
what resonates with your people. But then based on your leadership style, you also need to understand that there's a certain type of people you should be bringing into your team, and there's a certain type of people you should not be bringing into your team because they will impact your ability to lead. And it's personalities as well, and understanding,
Yeah.
I am a high achiever, right? I like to get things done, and I have a fast paced team, and we go. And so for us, if I was to get someone who didn't move at the pace that I was moving at, I would not be a good leader for them. And it's not that I'm a bad person, it's that the way that I lead and I don't like to micromanage. I believe that people and everybody has their KPIs and everybody's on a mission and we build together. And so I have a style versus someone else's style. And then our service team, for example, they want to know all the details and they get in the weeds. And so for them, it's important. They are managing those KPIs. So it's understanding also your personality and the type of person you are that impacts the way that you lead as well. And so I
Yeah.
think there's an understanding about that that's really important that people don't really connect the dots with.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And again, just speaking for myself, it's as I built my own company, SMB Nation, that was one of my challenges until I hired around myself, right?
Yeah.
I'm better as an entrepreneur, a wild-eyed Texan out there trying to cut deals. Um, and I hired people who had more of an operational mindset. And then,
Yeah.
you know, with all due respect, we took off. And it made a difference.
You hire people that complement you, right? And that complement your skill sets. And we always say that we want to hire people that are smarter than us, right? They need to be able to manage us as entrepreneurs, right? And so when we're looking in the room, and I always reference this, and John Maxwell, who is my leadership guru, and I'm John Maxwell certified. Again, I take
Okay.
a lot of effort. He is a mentor. And if you have one book of his that, again, I've read many of them and he is my mentor, but everybody communicates, but few connect. If there's
Yeah.
one book that I could have you read, it's that, because that impacts the way that you see people and you react to people. And there is an art form in communication. And I think many leaders don't understand that art form, and that is probably communication is probably one of the largest gaps that I'm seeing in our industry.
Yeah. Hey, before we run, give me one or two points. And what other ways does IT design support MSPs? Give me a couple points.
So we do dedicated engineering staff, which
Okay.
is our, that's our flagship product. It's where we're
Oh,
known
okay.
for. It's ready to go engineering talent. You need someone today, come speak to us. We'll have a bench of engineers ready to go. You find the person you like the best, and you can start them as early as the next day. And they're our employee, they're not yours. And so we're the employer of record. And it's an easy way for you to manage and scale your MSP without bringing on
Yeah, I like it.
additional employee overhead. Our second, product is obviously our network operations center. We are a 24 by 7 network operations center, but we're also SOC 2 compliant and we provide help desk support. So those are definitely those are what really started us in the MSP arena. But then recently we've also built out our own SaaS product, which is called Team GPS. So we took all of the learnings of how to effectively manage people and we put it into our own software product. We built it for ourselves. How are we effectively managing and engaging our team members? And so we put ITBD scorecards in there, we put best practices. And so we built out this tool that not only manages your CSATs to see how the engineers are doing, but it also helps you engage and motivate your employees. And when you do their performance review, it's all built into the system. And when you do the review, you see the whole employee. You don't just see, hey, these are your scorecards from the last quarter. You're going to see what shout outs they gave, what shout outs people gave to them, where were your customer shout outs. And so you see more than just what have you done for me lately. And so there's an entire methodology behind how we built out Team GPS. But it's a science built on us. Again, we are in 3 continents now. We've been Great Places to Work certified for the past 3 years in a row. And so Team GPS is a passion project. And then obviously build it. I would love for your listeners to come to build it. It
Yeah.
is my passion project, where we give away templates, tools, and processes to help MSPs. You mentioned those smaller MSPs. We are firefighters often. We go to conferences and we come back, but we have these great ideas, but now you don't have the time to implement them. And so what we've done is we've actually built out a workbook. And in the workbook, you're going to get a template, and every session is a class where you're actually going through and learning about this template. For example, we did stock options for your leadership layer last year. And so I had Kevin Blake and Arlen Sorensen going through and teaching
Yeah.
people how to use the stock option plan. And then at the end of the event, we gave them an editable version of it. So now all you have to do is you've got the template, you just got to make the changes based on your organization. And so that's what we love to do is we love to give. Our mantra is sharing is caring. So that's my baby is build it live.
All right. Well, hey, let's not, let's not wait a minute to get you back another day to continue this conversation. I sure thank you for your time and look forward to meeting you personally roughly mid-September in Orlando at your IT by Design event.
Thank you so much, Harry. It was an absolute pleasure and look forward to hopefully seeing you and the listeners at the event.